Today we are here another episode with Redline Lab and REDPOD. And as always, we start with is dare to be remarkable, built to be unforgettable. Today I have my great friends, Daniel and Juan, and also business partners in Dojo Coding. People ask me so many times, Dojo Coding, right? I wanna hear it from you as a creator of Dojo Coding. You started it. Give me a breakdown. Let's go and start first Dojo Coding, and then we will go individually and understand more who was that person behind of these things.
For sure. No, thank you, Soren. Super grateful to be part of the Redline family. Dojo Coding is a lot of things. Essentially, it's an ecosystem for developers looking to break into emerging technologies, empowering Latin American talent, the whole global South. There's a lot of disruption going on in the software industry. So that's our insight, right? Trying to help talent who on one side maybe has been technically stagnant for some time and just want new opportunities, global opportunities with these new technologies from AI to crypto. There's a lot of stuff going on, but Dojo Coding at its core is community, right? It's connections, it's education, and it's a lot of just building in public and building actual cool stuff.
Cool. So how did you start with the Dojo Coding? Let's just go with your background.
Yeah, so software developer at heart from Costa Rica. You know, the university where I graduated from never really, talked about blockchain technology, and I was always very interested in these technologies. Crypto specifically, started diving into it around 2021. In the NFT bull run, I thought I was going to get rich buying monkey pictures. That never ended up happening, but that's when my interest really started to peak into crypto. I found out that, the safest bet to break into the industry was through software, right? Mm-hmm. Through participating in this professional side of things, building the actual technology. My university didn't really talk about it, so I just started diving in through the internet, connections online, through open source software. Rapidly, I got the opportunity to have a paid trip to Paris where I participated in a hacker house. Mm-hmm. That was around 2023. Mm-hmm. And from then on, it was just a snowball effect, right? I started traveling more conferences, more hacker houses. And every time I flied out, I would come back home to Costa Rica, and I would see that there was really no conversation going on, right? There was no one talking about these things. There is a very niche community of Ethereum Costa Rica. The growth was quite stagnant, but that was kind of the insight that I got, right? I would travel, see everything that's going on. My mindset would expand, meet so many cool people. And then, that's where Dojo Coding was born. I wanted to bring all this education, all this awareness about the global opportunities, bring it back home and help other people in the same path and to have the same experiences that I had.
Juan, most of us know you as the guy who wants to support great projects, and you're a great influence and great person to have access to this Web3 environment. As a marketer in heart, which you are already building it, what was that moment which you couldn't resist to be part of this craziness of Dojo Coding? What was that? What did you see? It was a Daniel, it was the movement, it was something which just came up to you. How did you connect the dots to be part of this?
Well, to be honest, at a certain point, I just get to interact with the early version of what Dojo Coding was back one year ago, and even in that early version of Dojo Coding, we can start seeing this sentiment in the community. They were really feeling like they were part of something huge. They were expressing that in the community. All the developers were commenting the life-changing things that they were living thanks to the Dojo Coding community. And I just said we have to take this 10x, 100x, 1000x because We need to make this movement bigger because we're having so much impact on so many guys. I can see that in some of my friends that they leave college without a clear understanding of what to do, with no clear pathway, no clear route. And when I was able to see the early versions of the community and what was already going on, I just feel that, I mean, I feel like it was my duty. I had to do it. I had to put my green to be able to potentiate what we already been building, and make it bigger. Reach millions of people. That we already reach millions of people. In fact, hundreds of thousands more, and we have thousands already joined the community. And this is lives that we are changing literally.
Yeah. Um, I know, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, over 1,200 professionals went through this entire kind of system, correct? What qualifies a person to be part of Dojo Coding to begin with, and who are the people you are attracting the most?
Great question. So at its core, Dojo Coding, again, is a lot of mindset, right? That's part of our core message: ambition, global opportunities, working hard, building in public, sharing value. So when we lead with these principles through our message, right, just through our marketing channels and whatnot, we tend to attract a specific type of person, a person who's very open to, collaborating, to admitting that they don't know everything, we don't know everything. So it's a very specific type of person, one who's, trying to change their current situation in life, just trying to learn new things. It's very interesting because we attract, all the way from university students who are aware that their day-to-day classes aren't enough and that the industry is rapidly changing and they can capitalize off that, all the way to, senior developers with more than 10, 12 years of experience who have lived, a lot of cycles within software, and they know that it's also rapidly changing. And a lot of them, the reality is they've, been many years in the same company, doing the same things over and over again. And so they also, many of them desire new experiences, new technologies, new opportunities. And
How much familiarity you need to have on the tech stacks to be able to start with Dojo Coding?
Zero. So we help people from the fundamentals, right? We have tracks from zero to full stack, all with like AI native practices within it. So basically, if you're a very driven, dedicated person and you want to learn new technologies, Dojo Coding is your gateway to breaking into the industry. But of course, if you're already a professional who has fundamentals of software, that can accelerate your process to getting cool opportunities.
Is this only, we're talking about the Web3 and AI, or let's say there's also other tech stacks built into this ecosystem as far as the learning?
Yeah, no, so it's definitely, our focus is emerging technologies. Of course, we started with blockchain, so we're Web3 heavy. We've been diving very deep into AI engineering, AI assisted programming. That's really a necessity nowadays for whatever you're building, right? Not just blockchain tech. But we want to cover the whole, everything really. We're planning a cloud-focused bootcamp with AI native included in it. Smart contract auditing, like we want to cover a lot, basically provide the talent, the opportunity to specialize in whatever vertical they want. But it's really that, right? Like finding those niches where we consider them to be blue ocean. So you can really, start to...
Oh, I love the blue ocean.
So you can start to, we call it destacar, right? To stand out in such a saturated market.
Good strategy. I actually always give an example of blue ocean, and if you guys are watching this, and if you hadn't had a chance to read the Blue Ocean Strategy book, definitely recommend it. Yeah. We always are building our companies not for the competitive edge with the other companies who are building. We want to be completely swim on that blue ocean and create our own narratives, which is going to help you to success. succeed on whatever endeavors you are pursuing. You guys just finished a great boot camp in Costa Rica, which people are coming in for first time. Give me the secrets behind of it. How was it? I know it was very successful. I saw lots of beautiful videos and pictures on Dojo Coding Instagram. Tell me more about it.
Yeah, essentially we brought people from, I don't know, 10 plus countries, from all the way from Spain, Germany, Bolivia, United States, Canada. They come to Costa Rica for a startup house where the idea was to mentor these founders and help them bootstrap all the necessities that they were experiencing, and all the gaps that maybe they were too focused like building the product, but that leaves some gaps, you know. So the idea of the startup house is basically help them fill those gaps. So that's why we gather as well mentors from all around the world, Argentina, Mexico, blah blah blah. We gathered them also in the startup house, and they were specific mentors for each type of the for every necessity a startup can have. So we had product mentors, technical mentors, marketing and business mentors, a lot of types of mentors that were giving advice to all these founders, all the way from literally finding better architecture for what they're doing and suggesting like really specific things in terms of how they're building and why they're doing the architecture of the software, like the way they were doing, all the way to changing literally a word in a pitch deck. So that was really 360 what we were doing at that startup house, and it also include mindset. Even doing cold plunges and meditation sessions and mindset sessions, where we were coaching them on the right mindset and help them overcome those self-limiting beliefs that
Ice bad. I saw this.
yeah. And it's cool because the day before they were having a literal mindset session, then they go to the ice bath and they're like, I never done this before in my life, and it
Exactly.
requires a lot of overcoming those limitations. You know, it helps them feel like if I was able to overcome this self-limiting belief, I can overcome many other self-limiting beliefs. Um, I can start believing on my product, on my company, on myself as a founder. So yeah, we truly enjoyed that opportunity, and I'm not gonna lie, that also made us growth, you know, as part of Dojo Coding. Yeah.
The funny thing is, when you look at the journey of the people, they we always have this cliche of we have to be into a system, which that system molds you toward the future. Like, I mean, you are born, they put you in a few, like 5, 6, 7 years old, they put you in a school that just gives you some sort of learning path. But the learning platforms which we are learning the path, it's not advanced enough or adaptive enough to take us to the actual life experiences. I'm glad to see from far, and that was one of the triggers for us to be part of the Dojo Coding and understanding it, because what you guys are doing has a very much synergy with the rest of the companies and what we do in the Redline Lab. So as you know, right now you are sitting down here with many other CEOs of the companies we have and helping them to navigate this adaptation toward the new systems we are having. So one of the questions I'm going to ask so the audience can understand it is, Dojo is an operational system. Dojo is not just a training boot camp. Dojo is not just a mindset somebody wants to do the better and come to Dojo. Dojo is, as Juan said, 360 platform from creation, education, launchpad to support the startup and the foundation you're creating for your own being. Can you just open that up and a little bit talk about the Dojo OS, which is what we are aiming to have.
For sure. So essentially what we're doing is unifying the entire builder journey, right? We like to call developers nowadays builders, right? Because that's really how you can stand out in this market. So unifying the builder journey goes from education to actually using, and applying what you learned in projects, whether that be personal projects, whether that be open source projects, whether that be services to other companies. And naturally, in this builder journey, some people will actually want to take that next step and build something for their own, right? A company, a product, whatever. So this is the entire builder journey, and what Dojo Coding is aiming to do is create this operating system that will help this talent go through this pipeline and actually be able to do it at scale, right? And so how do we do this at scale? With agentic workflows within the platform, having the right incentives. At the end of the day, people also want to make money, right? So how can we help them make money by, leveraging their emerging or their skills in these emerging technologies, which is very, very feasible. Not only that, again, for this startup house, it was a startup house focused on startups building with blockchain technology, right? That was all sponsored. We've had several teams, dozens of teams within the Dojo Coding ecosystem receive funding, right? Non-dilutive funding to continue building their products. And this type of awareness of the funding opportunities within crypto is barely getting started in Latin America. Crypto at its core, what it does is kind of like democratize funding opportunities for projects, right? And it's
Correct.
at a global scale. And so a lot of talent in Latin America simply doesn't even know, right? They don't know that they can receive grants from, $25,000 all the way up to 100,000, 500,000, depending on the maturity of your project. But that's the reality, right? And so the OS, what it does is scale all these efforts and make it so it's a seamless journey for people. And so it's very clear, what's the next step in this path towards, just having
You
a global
mentioned
career.
sponsorship and basically foundations and grants program. Juan, can you talk about the couple of the sponsors or partners we had so long, aside the Redline Lab or what we do? But can you just bring some of the names and give that study you have done already for them and how that is literally reflecting on their bottom line? So if another foundation watching this video and understanding what Dojo Coding can do for them, how can they activate their communities, how they can teach the community so they can quickly access to you guys and be able to build it?
Yeah, I mean, we've been cooperating all the way from protocols to the foundations to other to companies, traditional companies. Basically, Dojo Coding is this powerful um, engine that can literally um, generate as much demand and attention for that product or for that protocol as much as we want. So we have faced challenges from our partners like, hey guys, we need 600 devs in this bootcamp, quality devs that they we need them to come to the bootcamp um, already knowing certain uh, programming languages. And what we do is that we do certain previous training on our platform, and that way we create a funnel, a whole funnel that brings a lot of new talent, preparates that talent, and then serves that talent ready for the needs of our specific partner. So we have lived that with many, many companies. One of the biggest partner that we cooperate right now with is Starnet, of course. And we have done many, many things with them, all the way from biggest hackathon in Central America with 350 plus developers presentially and many more online. And we have done also basically everything that happens in Costa Rica and also in Central America. They always call us like, hey guys, can you please attach your community to what we're doing, because we know that is a quality community that been trained for many, many months, and we're always up to doing this kind of collaboration. So anytime someone is doing, for example, any hackathon, whatever, they always call us to work with us. More recently, another cool thing that is going on is that Open Quantum Institute from CERN, well, they are expanding their efforts in the whole region in Latin America, doing quantatons and preparing people in quantum computing, and basically we are making official this partnership with them. So Dojo Coding will be also supporting these efforts of promoting quantum computing in the region. So we are not only about Web3 and crypto, we are all the way in AI, quantum computing, and Web3 and crypto. So these are the three pillars that we are focusing right now. But we are also preparing some other education programs and trainings on cybersecurity and many other emerging tech. So what we like to call it emerging tech, and essentially why these partnerships happen, because we have a huge database, a huge community, engaged community that basically follows our recommendations, and actually they are waiting for our next thing, what we're going to present them. Hey guys, when you are going to do the next activation, the next activity, we want to participate, we want to be part of that. So they are already trained, they already participated in many activations, and they are waiting for the next one.
How much important is for companies or people who are watching this to understand the verified credential you are passing to them through our qualified, let's say, vendors, we call them, or our coders or Dojo Coding, how you call them, like the Dojo Coders. How much important is that verification part, which you are working hard to make sure qualifying them based on the subject matter which they're going to do, like into note of, let's say you have your belt system. Can you talk a little bit about that one, how you qualifying them, who is the person with a certain criteria which is deploying to such and such and such?
Yeah. So throughout this builder journey that I mentioned, in every step of the way, there's a lot of value that the developer themselves accumulate, a lot of knowledge, a lot of credibility, reputation. And when it's a fragmented system, every step of the way, you lose that compounding effect. Again, so when we talk about the Dojo Coding OS trying to unify all this, what we aim to do is capture, all the value that's being accumulated throughout this journey. And so we communicate it properly to the industry, to companies, even within the OS itself, so we can bring them more opportunities when we can identify the talent that truly deserves it and can truly execute on whatever task is at hand. So when we identify, all the way from certain bootcamps, certain certifications that these developers are getting, all the way to projects that they're building, both open source, both private services, all the way to attempts at startups or actual experience, scaling your product, getting new clients. When you capture all that value and formulate something that represents all that growth, that's where the Dojo score comes in. That's where these verifiable credentials come in, where it's actually apparent, how much value you can provide to the market. Because of course, nowadays recruitment itself is kind of broken, right? Like anyone can generate whatever type of curriculum, it's a simple PDF. You try to apply to a company, you're flooded, or you're drowned in a volume of applications where it's kind of hard to stand out. The Dojo way is, making yourself so attractive that these opportunities naturally come to you, right? Where you're building in public, you're apparent what you can do, and Dojo Coding itself will create that standard so it's more apparent.
I seen last, I believe it was a gentleman who posted on LinkedIn, I forgot his name. He was graduated in Dojo Coding and now has an internship in one of the biggest companies. When we see this kind of stories, and he was so excited, which is that his excitement and enthusiasm is because of the Dojo Coding and his appreciation about Dojo Coding. I seen he's mentioning you, mentioning Alfredo, mentioning everybody in the team. that shows like people are looking for like a way to not only learn, and you mentioned earn, they also want to belong to a community. And I can see hundreds of people with their testimonies. They are really living the dojo life. And dojo life is something which is, you have the freedom to add value to yourself, which that automatically connects to the enterprises, institutions, companies who are looking for people which they're not only working, they're also thinking about the work, about themselves. That creates a longevity for us as a company, longevity for the companies who are hiring the dojo coders. And on one of them, beside being partner, we have a bunch of operations for Red5, for many other companies. We have hired actually people who went through Dojo Coding, and this is one of the best hires we ever had. And it's just I can proudly say, for the people who are watching this video, or they're gonna share to some other people, if you're really thinking about the emerging technology and the thing which is happening right now for your own companies, it's just a one-stop shop. You come to Dojo Coding, and then we'll figure it out together. The team is very agile, very effective, and they understand this era the best you can possibly find anywhere. So if you're thinking of hiring for your next project, or you're thinking about redoing some of the things that you have done, if you're looking for the talents who are not going to be found easily, or you don't know if they're coming in with the qualified names even behind them, but the skill is not going to match the requirements you have, Dojo Coding is literally a one-stop shop. With that said, talk about the model of the Dojo Coding, right? So let's say people are coming here, they sign up for Dojo Coding. There's a fee they have to pay to be part of this entire thing, and then is there anything else involved or which people should know? And then on top of that, if you can add it, like how they can sign up, how they can be part of the Dojo Coding. Let's talk about the coders first.
For sure. So, what we're doing is building a brand, right? Building culture. Within the dojo ecosystem, we have a free entry for people, trying to get a taste, see what's going on. The core subscription is a monthly subscription for developers, looking for education, looking to form part of the inner circle. We do have, single ticket offers, boot camps specifically. And then, of course, for those, who truly want to have more of a close-up mentorship, one-on-one coaching, then we have, of course, the highest ticket offer. But most of the developers, with the monthly subscription, they get all the value really that's required to be able to change your career, right? They'll have all the content, all the courses, all the connections, all the opportunities, be able to have access to all the events that we have. So really, at least from the academy side, right, from the talent pool side, that's kind of like the funnel that we have. Of course, for all the businesses that want to work with us, that's a different story. On the foundation side that we just mentioned, we essentially call that ecosystem activations. So I worked at a blockchain foundation for more than half a year, and so I got all the insights, right? I understood all their pain points that they have. In crypto, there's a bunch of blockchains, and they all have the same. They all have the same needs, the same problems, right? They all need talent, they all need use cases, they all need products. And that's why they're all spending a bunch of money in hackathons, boot camps, events, sponsoring conferences. But a lot of them have leaky buckets, right? Because some devs will come in, they'll find, learn some new things, cool, try to build something, but then they'll hop over to another one. And so Dojo Coding solves that, right? Because we build that whole pipeline for them. We activate their ecosystem when we push people to build. So forming part of the inner circle, you'll get all the support necessary, all the resources, all the connections. A lot of these startups that have been born in Dojo Coding are people who met within the community, right? One of the best examples of this is Trustless Work. They're building escrows on Stellar, and they're a team that literally met within the Dojo Coding community. Now they've raised around, they're valued 7 figures plus. So these types of success cases are, they're gold for us, because it's, it just demonstrates how the dojo culture truly gives fruit.
Let's focus on quickly on the startup. The startups have different kind of needs. They not only they are building this together, they need to understand the cap table, they need to understand the investor deck, they need to understand the KPIs, the elements. Can you talk about that, how you guys are helping them?
Yeah, that's something that up until now we like to ship and then build.
Yeah.
And this is part of the mindset that we try to to change from people, you know, because everyone is and mostly the engineers and devs, they're like, no, I have to
Yeah.
code and then ship something and see if it works. And no, I will have to start again and build another product. So we work totally different, and we do exactly what we say. You know, at Dojo Coding, we first ship and then build. You know, so how does that work? We try to what we did essentially was, let's do the most MVP of every business model that we're gonna have as a company. Let's find a way to serve that business model as easy as possible to test it with the market, and basically every single one that we test was successful. So what we're doing is, we help, as Daniel said, all the customer journey. We have Dojo Pathways, which is basically education, and that's the entrance of the developer. Then we have Dojo Projects, which is where they can test all that knowledge and all those new skills and upskilling and reskilling that they suffer at Pathways. They can now monetize and test that, put that to test, thanks to Dojo Coding, where they can contribute to open source software and also receive briefs from real companies, real world companies that need the solutions. Or we can just connect that talent to outsource staffing, you know. And then we have Launchpad. So that's the whole developer and builder journey. They go from learning to testing their skills and proving themselves to all the way to being founders. So when they come to Launchpad, that's where the interesting part in terms of getting knowledge about cap tables, all the kind of all the suites of software, different alternatives that are out there that they will have to implement and use at their platforms. How to open a company in the U.S. Or any other way on the world going offshore. And what's the type of company that they have to open, either a C, a corp, or LLC, whatever. You know, all this kind of knowledge is in the Launchpad. So up until now, we've been doing all this a little bit manual. You know, of course, we have the software, we have the team, whatever. But that's why we decided to create Dojo OS. So based on all these data that we already have, all these data points, all this know-how, all these patterns that we have identified of execution that can be automated and can be a simple standard operating procedure for an agent, we're training that agent to do these kind of things, to automate these kind of things and serve even better our community. So now our community can rely on that agent to guide them in the pathways, guide them with the projects, and assign them projects, and then help them funding their startup, either understanding certain things that they have to do, or actually finding a co-founder within the community, because we have the data points of all of them. We know exactly all the projects they have contributed to, all the courses that they have done, even the quizzes that they completed, you know, and the scores that they achieved. We know everything, so this allows us to serve better the community in a more automated way, and that's basically Dojo OS. You know, it's powered by this AI agent, really powerful, thanks to all the historical data that we have and the new data that we are collecting.
We are in emerging technology space, right? And most part is learning and being part of the community. But how important is that mindset of pivoting and changing? Like, and also on this era, which is like 2 weeks ago, we didn't have the AI agent paperwork. Now we have AI agent paperwork and workshops, and we're starting it in 2 weeks. Now imagine a startup which starts today, and then not only going to compete with the technology, which is so fastly updating. What is that recommendation you have as a senior developer, senior staffer, senior person who is building it? And like, imagine by applying it for Dojo Coding itself. What is the take you have?
Definitely identifying what you're trying to do with it, right? A lot of people, again, start backwards, just trying to build something and then see, what it's going to serve, how it's going to be, scaled. So really identifying, what the problem you're trying to solve is, and then leveraging all these new paradigms within tech to be able to solve that, something that before maybe wasn't even possible. All the way from, internal workflows for the engineering itself, and all the way to, what you're actually providing to the market. In our case, it's, providing value to both developers and companies, and basically arbitraging that talent.
Is it like that pivotal point or that change? It's always hard, right? Especially when you're building and all of a sudden something else is coming up,
Yeah.
and you are in technology space. And if you, it's not about the necessity, like I'm sorry, about the kind of shiny object. It's about the necessity to be able to stay relevant. If not, that technology will be obsolete within the next few months.
We call it being just a perpetual student within the community. Again, it's normal, it's common for developer talent to become technically stagnant, right? Because they're doing the same things every day within the same company. And, it's tough, finding those extra hours within the day to, study, to build things, to ask questions, to form part of a community. That community is really powerful because, we're all humans, right? We can only read and, investigate so much during the day. But when you have a bunch of people who are in that same rabbit hole, doing the same things as you, and they communicate that, it's a compounding effect. Again,
Have you seen, or maybe question is to you, have you seen big part of the community who wants to be a builder, an operator, and start a startup also can be basically molded to become number 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 of the one of those startups, and then let's say they put back their, let's say, that idea, that moment, and join somebody else's idea? Have you seen those things? Like people kind of come and say, you know what, I may go and build that feature for Dojo Coding versus I go build a company around that feature. Have you seen those kind of activations?
Yeah, sometimes it's just like you we always become successful making other people successful. So either you are selling something that helps other people, that's why people purchase your product. Essentially, you are making that other person successful because you are solving a problem with them, for them. So the fastest, cheapest, and most efficient way to become successful, make a lot of money, be successful in anything you do, is to help other people be successful. So that's one of the ways of seeing this, and we teach this kind of paradigm.
Methodology.
And the other way of seeing this is that I prefer to be 3%, 2%, 4% owner of something than 100% owner of nothing.
Yeah.
So these two things combined, it's exactly what we're teaching the community. That's why they have no issue either being the founders, being the number one, the second, the third, because they understand these fundamentals.
Today we have
the dojo flywheel is super interesting, right? Because you have people come in, learn a bunch of new things, create teams, start creating product, and now suddenly they need more hands. They need more people to help. And so where do they go look? Within the same community, right? That's a fantastic flywheel.
So today we have limited time. As you know, we have a lot of other things to do. But before we finish this pod, I want you to just basically, in a few words, ask the people to come and join, and the reason they're joining, and then how easy it is to join. And then I want you to just finish it with like, what is it which we will do better than everybody else? And then let the people take their time to understand it, and also mention where they can go to start this activation for the community.
100%. So, any software engineer who feels like, they have more potential to grow, to find global opportunities, who truly have that desire to, be different in the industry, to stand out. Maybe you feel like, you've been kind of suffering, this lack of awareness or lack of guidance to truly break in and leverage all the opportunities that come with emerging technologies, Dojo Coding is your gateway to this. Dojo Coding is community, it's connections, it's opportunity. Yes, we have pathways, projects, and Launchpad. That's essentially the pipeline towards whatever goals that our community wants. So that's what Dojo Coding is. Any developer who's interested, you can find us at dojocoding.io or on socials as well, Instagram, Twitter, X. Very important for the crypto industry. If you're not working on your personal brand, it's highly, highly important, 100%.
And you will find that on the show note as well. People can, go click on the link and do that. Is there a specific social media platform you guys are more involved that you want them to be communicated over there?
Our main ones are Instagram and X.
Perfect.
I wouldn't say that we're doing something better than others, because we're doing something that no one else is doing. So it's totally different. It's
Unicorn, yeah.
yeah, it's basically a blue ocean, but what we're doing is breaking the silos.
Yeah.
So Coursera teaches, Udemy teaches, Masterclass teaches. Then you have Fiverr and you have Upwork, giving you gigs, and then you have launchpads, BCs, incubators, but you cannot find all the three together. That's what we're doing. That's different. That's not better, or that's not 0 to n, as Peter Thiel said. That's totally 0 to 1. That's totally different thing to what is currently in the market. That's how we are monopolizing.
You heard it here. Another story of the purple cow, not the unicorn. But as always, we say, dare to be remarkable and built to be unforgettable. Thank you so much, guys, and I appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Soren.
Thank you.